Hey stars, back again, another day of health. You guys are going to be the healthiest ever. If you can be 90 years old and walking around the park, hanging out with friends, going bowling, that's the life we want to lead. Living long isn't the same as living healthy for a long time. So today, one of the things that we're talking about is sodium. Now, sodium is just the fancy word for salt. That's the white little granules that are on every kitchen table and every restaurant table throughout our lives. We use a lot of salt. It's been around for a long time. Now, salt doesn't come from plants. Salt is a mineral, literally like dirt, okay? Rocks, pebbles. Salt is a mineral within the earth. We use it and it gives us something we need. We actually need salt. It's part of our body's operating system. However, too much salt causes problems. And we're going to talk about how much salt you need, but we're also going to talk about how you don't know how much salt you're eating when we are using foods, potato chips, McDonald's, Chico's Tacos, all macaroni and cheese that you get in the box and you open up the bag, okay? Processed foods like these hide a lot of sodium. We don't know it until you start reading labels. We'll talk more about that and how when you read a label, you're going to see there's a lot more salt than you think in the food that you eat. A lot more than we need. So, let's talk about how salt does help our bodies. Salt is one of those things that helps us to keep liquids in our body. It helps us to balance how thick our blood is. Now, our body does this naturally for most people. Our blood needs that salt. But how much salt? Not as much as you think, by any means. When we get salt, there's a couple of parts of our bodies that we're going to talk about. So first off, Fred, he's going to have to donate some organs. First off, we don't need his lungs. That's not part of today's conversation. We don't need his stomach. That's not part of today's conversation. We don't, wait, that wasn't his stomach. That was his liver. We don't need his liver. That's not part of our conversation. We don't need his stomach, large intestine, small intestine. We don't need any of this. So I'm going to take that all out. We're going to move it off here to the side. Today, we don't need that part. What we do need is his heart, the arteries and veins, and of course, our kidneys. Now, our kidneys are like a filter system. All right, you buy water filtration systems and they clean out the water. You talk about air filtration systems where when the air goes through it, it takes out any, maybe chemicals or dust or pollen for you that have allergies. Our body has its own filtering system. The kidneys do that. The kidney's job is to filter our blood and the water in our system, and then we pee it out. So what we don't need, we pee out. Coach talked about this in that if your pee isn't clear, you're not drinking enough water. If your pee is like some of us who drink a lot of coffee, because I'm old and I have to keep up with you guys, yeah, I drink a lot of coffee. So if my pee is brown, yeah, that's a problem. That means I'm drinking not too much coffee and way not enough water, right? Our heart distributes the blood. You know about that. That's the blood carries all of our nutrients, liquids, and oxygen to our entire body. Everywhere in our body we have blood vessels that blood is being carried to. Our hair and our nails, yeah, we don't have that. That's why when you get a haircut, there's no blood coming out. Or when you cut your nail, as long as you don't cut the skin deep underneath, you cut your nail, there's no blood. So they don't have blood vessels, but pretty much everywhere else in our body does. Your eyeballs, your lips, your ears, down on your legs, just everywhere. So when that blood is being moved around your body, it has to be the right thickness. So think of like a milkshake, right? There's a smoothie that if it's too thick and you try and suck through the straw, nothing happens. The smoothie just, and it doesn't work, right? And then there's the smoothie that's too weak, and so it's more like drinking water, so it's just, it's already melted, it's not as good anymore. We need to kind of take those and balance it. We want the right mixture. Same thing is true with our blood. Salt helps our body to maintain some of those liquids. Coach was talking about Gatorade. Gatorade has a lot of salt, a lot of sodium. But the reason why is because when you are working out super, super hard and you're sweating so much, your shirt is soaking wet, your like chonies are wet, you're just sweating to the point it's like dripping off your body. You need to replace those salts so that your body can help to hold on to the water. If you're not sweating that much, you don't need Gatorade. And Coach talked about that. We need to be careful with how much we drink of those kinds of liquids, because just because it says an athlete and you walked around the block one time, yeah, you don't need a Gatorade for that, okay? So, when we start to talk about that salt, the amount of salt we need is very important. One of the things that our kidneys take care of is that sodium content mix. They help to kind of get rid of the extra salts. But if it's too much, we have problems. Blood gets thick. Your heart works harder, because just like when you're sucking through that straw for that thick shake. Anyway, that thick shake, you gotta, well, your heart has the same thing trying to push the blood through your body. It's too thick. Squeezing, pumping, squeezing, pumping. It's just too much work. Your blood vessels then wind up getting thicker, which means they don't become as elastic anymore. Which means as they become thicker, the straw becomes smaller. So that creates even more problems. Think of trying to drink a milkshake through one of those skinny little straws that they have for like mixing your coffee. You see that tiny little straw, and it's like, no way, it wouldn't happen. We know that. Kidneys and filtering, they need to mix. But how much salt you need? Yeah. We're going to talk about nutrition labels. We're going to talk about how much salt is in a bag of Takis. Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. And I even did like versus a Pringles chip, like a regular Pringles chip, you know, the Pringles. You're going to see the difference in the salts here in a second. And when you see it, you're going to be like, what? We're also going to talk about how much salt you actually need. Trust me, it's not as much as you think. As a matter of fact, the amount of salt you need is in less than one serving of Takis. Okay? One serving of Pringles is as much salt as you need. You don't need to sprinkle the salt. And we're used to it. When I was a kid, my dad used to tell me, if it's too hot, sprinkle salt, it'll cool it down. That's not true. That's not true at all. But it was just his way of getting me to be quiet and not complain about how hot the food was. So if the food was still hot, I kept putting salt on it. I got used to the taste, and now I have to really work hard to get my body away from wanting to taste the salt. My body knows how to take care of it, but my body needs to stop wanting the taste of all that extra salt. There are lots of things that have a lot of salt. Tajin, sodium. Yeah, we love to put salt and chile and lime, and we need to start replacing some of those things. Coach talked about some of the things that you can use seasoning-wise to replace that. Sometimes extra herbs and seasonings are the way that we do that. We want to stay the natural plant base, which is what herbs are. Okay, rosemary, garlic, oregano, cumin, all these are seasonings that can help us to make that food more flavorful without being more damaging to our body. We need to avoid the salt, and we need to learn how to look for it in the labels. Right now, I've got to show you a label. We're going to talk about that Takis and Pringles, and I'm going to show you them both. And we're going to talk about the fact that, yeah, you cannot eat a bag of Takis. You're going to destroy your heart, kidneys, and your blood system with that bag. So we'll talk more about it. Let me get into that. Let me show you how bad this is and how we can change some of those things. Kids your age should be having less than 2,200 milligrams per day. In only 12 Takis, there's 410 milligrams of salt. The whole bag, over 4,000. Now Pringles, 16 of them, only has 150 milligrams. So the entire can here is still worth less than 750. This is Coach Guevara. It's been great talking to you. I hope we learn and listen. We got to take care of our bodies. We got to get better about the way we eat, about the way we exercise. We may not always like it, but we like being healthy. We like living. We like not dying. We like not being in the hospital. Yeah, we like being able to play and run and jump. Even if it's not the stuff we tell you to do, you know there's things you like doing. Keep your body healthy so you can keep doing them for a long time.